The forbidden Anunnaki truth from 450,000 years ago. The desert wind moves across southern Iraq like it has for thousands of years. It whispers over broken ziggurats and eroded clay bricks, over ruins that once stood at the center of humanity's first cities. Beneath this dust lie fragments of a story so old, so unsettling, that many believe it was never meant to be remembered. Imagine a time not 5,000 years ago, not 20,000 years ago, but 450,000 years ago, long before recorded civilization, long before the pyramids, before agriculture, before even the accepted rise of Homo sapiens. According to a controversial interpretation of ancient Mesopotamian texts, something extraordinary happened then. Visitors arrived from the sky. They were called the Anunnaki. Who were they? Gods? Kings? Astronauts from a distant world? Or simply misunderstood myths born from the imagination of early civilizations? In the clay tablets of Sumer, etched in cuneiform script and buried for millennia beneath desert sands, there exists a narrative that challenges everything we believe about our origins. A narrative of celestial beings, genetic manipulation, planetary catastrophe, and a hidden history that may stretch back hundreds of thousands of years. Tonight, we step into that forbidden story. Mainstream history begins in a very different place. According to archaeologists and historians, civilization emerged around 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Sumerians are widely regarded as one of the first complex societies, flourishing around 4000 BCE. They developed writing, law codes, astronomy, and monumental architecture. Their ziggurats rose like mountains from the plains, their cities organized and governed by priest-kings who claimed divine authority. The Sumerian pantheon was rich and complex. Deities such as Anu, Enlil, Enki, and Inanna ruled over different domains: sky, wind, water, fertility. These gods were not distant abstractions. They walked among humans in myth, gave instructions, demanded offerings, and intervened in earthly affairs. Their stories were recorded in epics like the Epic of Gilgamesh and inscribed on thousands of clay tablets. Traditional scholars interpret these accounts as religious mythology. Like the gods of ancient Greece or Egypt, the Sumerian deities reflect human attempts to explain natural forces and social order. When the texts describe gods descending from the heavens, it is symbolic language. When they speak of divine creation, it is metaphor. When they recount floods and celestial battles, they represent archetypal myths shared across cultures. The archaeological record supports a gradual rise of civilization. Tools become more sophisticated over time. Settlements grow in complexity. Human evolution, as mapped through fossil evidence, traces our species back roughly 300,000 years in Africa. There is no accepted evidence of advanced technology 450,000 years ago, nor of extraterrestrial visitation. In the academic view, history unfolds slowly, logically, and terrestrially. But in the mid-20th century, an alternative interpretation began to take shape, one that would challenge these assumptions. According to this hidden theory, the Anunnaki were not symbolic deities, but physical beings. They came from a distant planet, often identified as Nibiru, a celestial body said to have a 3,600-year orbit around our sun. This idea gained prominence through the writings of Zecharia Sitchin, who claimed to translate Sumerian tablets describing an advanced extraterrestrial race that arrived on Earth approximately 450,000 years ago. In this interpretation, the Anunnaki came for a reason: gold. Their homeworld, Nibiru, was allegedly facing atmospheric collapse. To repair it, they needed vast quantities of gold to suspend in their atmosphere as a protective shield. Earth, rich in natural resources, became their mining outpost. The first expeditions landed in what would later be called Mesopotamia. They established bases, organized labor, and began extracting minerals. But the work was grueling. According to the narrative, the lower-ranking Anunnaki, sometimes identified with the Igigi, grew weary of the labor. They rebelled against their leaders. Faced with unrest, the High Commander Enlil and the scientist Enki devised a solution that would forever alter the course of life on Earth. They would create a worker species. Using genetic engineering, combining their own DNA with that of early hominids, they allegedly fashioned a hybrid being, Homo sapiens. The Sumerian texts describe humans being formed from clay mixed with the essence of the gods. In this alternate reading, clay becomes a metaphor for genetic material. The creation of Adam in later biblical tradition echoes this theme, formed from dust, infused with divine breath. If true, humanity's origin story would not begin as a natural evolutionary process alone, but as an intervention, an experiment designed to serve a purpose. The timeline proposed by this theory stretches deep into prehistory. Around 450,000 years ago, the first Anunnaki arrived. By 300,000 years ago, genetically modified humans began to emerge. Over tens of thousands of years, mining operations expanded. Settlements were established, including Eridu, often called the first city in Sumerian tradition. The Anunnaki ruled as living gods, guiding early civilization and shaping human development. Then came catastrophe. Around 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, the Earth experienced dramatic climate shifts. In Sumerian texts, there is a story of a great flood. The god Enlil, angered by humanity's noise, or perhaps seeking to reset the experiment, decided to wipe them out. Enki, sympathetic to humans, warned a man named Ziusudra, instructing him to build a great vessel to survive the deluge. The parallels to the biblical story of Noah are striking: a chosen man, a divine warning, a cataclysmic flood, the preservation of life. In the alternative theory, this flood corresponds to real geological events: rapid sea level rise, melting glaciers, and possibly a comet impact. Civilization was nearly erased. The Anunnaki retreated, or at least reduced their direct involvement. Humanity was left to rebuild, carrying fragmented memories of their creators in myth and legend. What evidence supports such extraordinary claims? The foundation rests largely on ancient tablets discovered in Mesopotamia. Tens of thousands of clay tablets have been unearthed from sites like Nineveh, and Nippur. They contain administrative records, hymns, epics, and cosmological accounts. The Enuma Elish describes the creation of the world through a cosmic battle between gods. The Atrahasis epic recounts the creation of humans and a great flood sent to destroy them. Alternative theorists argue that these texts, when read without assuming mythology, describe advanced knowledge. They point to references of celestial bodies aligned in ways that resemble our solar system. They claim that certain cylinder seals depict what appears to be a sun surrounded by planets in correct order. Critics argue these are stylized religious symbols, not astronomical diagrams. Then there are the stone carvings. Across Mesopotamia and beyond, reliefs show winged beings, often holding what appear to be technological objects, cones, bracelets, devices. Some figures are depicted wearing what resemble wristbands or carrying bags with handles, repeated across cultures from Sumer to Mesoamerica. To believers, these are not ritual artifacts, but remnants of advanced tools. Lost cities add another layer. Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, dated to around 9600 BCE, predates Stonehenge by thousands of years. Its massive stone pillars, carved with intricate animal reliefs, suggest organized labor and complex belief systems at a time when humans were supposedly hunter-gatherers. How did such sophistication arise so suddenly? Mainstream archaeology attributes it to gradual cultural development. Alternative voices suggest it may be a surviving echo of a much older, forgotten civilization influenced by the Anunnaki. Reports of giant skeletons further complicate the narrative. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, newspapers occasionally reported discoveries of unusually large human remains in North America and elsewhere. Many of these accounts lack physical evidence today.